So to gather the names of agents who worked on cases, they're being fired. I was informed, colleagues, that my employment with the FBI will be terminated effective tomorrow, August 8th. They sued. They said, you can't give us our names up. We're special. We don't get accountability like anybody else does, all right? You're accountable. You've got a boss. We've all got bosses. All got somebody we report to and follow rules for. And this is something that apparently FBI agents don't have. Senior FBI officials finally fired. Been waiting for this to happen for quite some time. We saw Pam Bondi fire some other prosecutors, and a lot of the Jack Smith people are gone too. And there have been some changes in the Department of Justice. But what about the FBI and those J6 agents who were weaponizing that department against Americans who were there, most of whom were peacefully protesting until they were shot in the face by the cops on the balcony. Now, here you see CNN is saying the firing has happened and these two are gone. We've talked about them both here before. Brian Driscoll and Stephen Jensen canned. Good news, good riddance. Two senior FBI officials, including one who initially resisted Trump's information and his efforts to gather the names of agents. This was this guy, Brian Driscoll. Remember, he was like, we're not going to give you their names. Trump said, I want names of everybody who worked on the J6 cases. I want the janitors. I want the file clerks. I want the toner guy. Okay. I want the water jug changer. Whoever did that, I want to know who it is. We wanted to know too. And Brian said, well, we're not going to give you all of that because you don't need it. And he was just going to give them their employee numbers. Remember? Like, what's so wrong, Brian? Are you so concerned about your corrupt agents that are there? Yeah, they are. So to gather the names of agents who worked on cases, they're being fired. Multiple sources tell CNN, and we got Brian's letter, which is, of course, as pathetic as you'd expect. Now, he was acting FBI director in the weeks before Kash Patel was confirmed. And we watched this for a while. He is being dismissed by Steve Jensen, the other acting director in charge of Washington, is also gone. And apparently there's also Walter Giardina, who's also gone, who was the guy who went after Navarro. Let's see if they get there. But the administration is also firing other agents, according to three sources. FBI and Washington field office declined to comment. CNN's reached out, not gotten anything. But in a CNN letter that they got, they obtained Jensen, Stephen Jensen, so it wasn't Driscoll's email. He wrote to his colleagues that he was informed. He writes to everybody, sends this email, because they all do that. They're just like big whiners. They have to have the final word. Remember Maureen Comey like emailed her entire office. Hey, I just want to let you guys know how heroic and amazing I am and how much dignity and integrity I have. And I will continue to have that. And I know that you will too. It's like, you need to even send this to me? Just talk to yourself in the mirror. Like, don't put this in my inbox. He wrote, I was informed, colleagues, that my employment with the FBI will be terminated effective tomorrow, August 8th, which is nice. They should have walked him out right there with a box. Here you go. That's as big as it gets. You can take trips. I intend to meet this challenge like any other I have faced in this organization. Okay? You hear how self-aggrandizing it is? It drives me crazy. I'm going to meet this challenge. You got fired for being a hack, a partisan hack. This challenge, the challenge was to do your job with actual honor, and you didn't. With professionalism, integrity, and dignity. Okay? So I'm going to meet this challenge like I've done before, like a professional, like somebody with integrity and somebody with dignity. Would you ever talk about yourself this way? Like, could you imagine if I started the show that way? Hey, everybody, welcome to the show where we just care only about where your host with the highest integrity. I have in tremendous dignity, and that's why you should be here and like me. What? We have much bigger values that are broader than that are about accountability and transparency, which make us strive to be something better than we are. He's talking about himself, and we are debating all of those points: professionalism, integrity, and dignity. Now, I am confident that the Washington field office leadership team will continue to lead through any challenges that you may face in the future. And part of me thinks that he has to talk like this. Like, I wonder why they always write these letters. They drive me nuts, and I know we spent a lot of time on them. I can't take it. But are they talking to children? It's almost like you're talking to like a group of kids. It's like, listen, guys, like, look, I know this was a tough hike, all right? But we did it. Like, we did it as a team, and we made it up together, right? And like, yeah, I know, that was a good one. And they make it back down the hill, and they're stronger for it. Is it like that? Like, he's like, I know you guys can persevere without me. You'll live on. It's like the concluding speech in a movie before someone dies or something. Like, just leave. Jensen noted that he comes from a long line of law enforcement professionals, okay? Just like my father and my father before him. We have been protecting America. And he encouraged his colleagues to never waver in your resolve, to answer the call, to protect the American people and uphold the Constitution. Be the FBI, he says. This is the most pathetic thing I think we've read since the last FBI letter. In the first weeks of the second Trump administration, you see what I mean. This is like ridiculous, right? It's pathetic. At least 6 senior officials at the executive assistant director level or special agent in charge level, including those who oversee cyber, national security, and criminal investigations, were ordered to retire, resign, or be fired. Get out. Among the issues that caused the discord was Brian Driscoll, Driscoll not disciplining an FBI pilot for Patel after it was discovered he was involved in issuing a subpoena in the Mar-a-Lago investigation into Trump and associates, right? So Driscoll was covering up for the Mar-a-Lago FBI people, for the J6 FBI people, protecting all of them. Now, earlier this year, a plan to quickly fire more than 100 mid-level and senior employees blew up into a weekend-long standoff between then Deputy AG Emil Bove, who's going to the Second Circuit now, and Driscoll, and sparked internal protest against the move inside the agency, right? The FBI put up their defenses. There was an antibody response, right? You tried to purge the infection, and the infection fought back. So the rebellion prompted Trump to appoint a loyalist podcaster called Dan Bongino, as deputy director. And apparently Dan was going to resign and then didn't. Now he's happy back again. So the demand earlier this year for thousands of names, we want every name involved in the J6 cases. It came from Emil Bove. Shout out. I got to shake his hand, say what's up. Who said in a memo at the time that the list of names would be reviewed for any firing or personnel actions, according to the memo. We were excited to see that. We're like, let's go. Yeah, put it in a spreadsheet, send it over. And then they all sued. We covered all the lawsuits, like 2 FBI agents who have unions and associations to represent them because I guess the FBI is not a big enough gang to be a part of. They have to go get another union and an association to represent them against the government since they're such amazing public servants. But anyways, so they sued. They said, you can't give us our names up. We're special. We don't get accountability like anybody else does. All right. You're accountable. You've got a boss. We've all got bosses. All got somebody we report to and follow rules for. And this is something that apparently FBI agents don't have. So the FBI, Bove said, you actively participated in a grave national injustice. And so I want your names. Now, Driscoll, we read this. He said, this request encompasses thousands of employees. This fired FBI agent, Brian, said, I'm not going to give you this. There are thousands of people all across the country who supported this. Yes, we know. Both Driscoll and Jensen had been with the FBI for 20 years, which is why it's great they're gone, including in leadership roles. In 2020, Jensen served as the section chief for terrorism. Yeah, in 2020. Yeah, we know. And their terrorism was all the J6ers. Driscoll, who has been awarded the FBI Medal of Valor, no one cares. FBI Shield of Bravery, no one cares. Also served as the commander because all they do is like, they give themselves like stamps that they put on their own refrigerators. I got an award today, honey. Great job, Stephen Jensen. You did a great job, honey. He was not present. The U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro declined to address questions about his departure. And yes, maybe there was some heroism. So I don't know what they got those awards for. So maybe there was something good that they did in those situations, but it is now tainted by their partisan hackery and their corruption. And so they've decided to wreck their own legacies, and all those awards and all that good deed done is now meaningless from my perspective because they violated their oaths and now they're gone. And so we're happy to see it. Now, Hans Monkey, he's also telling us that Walter Giardina is also apparently gone. And this was the dude who was highly involved in the Steele dossier and the prosecution of Peter Navarro. And so Walter Giardina, he says, has finally been fired. He was part of this onslaught. We haven't seen it confirmed officially in the other reporting, but he was a relentless anti-Trump operative and he was embedded in all of these major attacks. So he's now gone and we're happy to see it. Now, the FBI, meanwhile, the new FBI hopefully is changing things, but the old FBI, they just covered up for Democrats. Now we're actually seeing some justice. Here was another report from the Federalist written over by Hans Monkey. And Hans, of course, wrote the book called Swift Boating America, which is perhaps the authority on a lot of the Crossfire Hurricane stuff. But here is what he writes. The FBI never even investigated the allegations that Loretta Lynch was working with Hillary's team. All they did is just present it to her. And we've covered this in the Durham Appendix. They said, hey, Loretta, we know, according to Democrat operatives and the DNC chair, that you're coordinating with the Clinton campaign. You're the attorney general. And remember, Loretta Lynch also hung out on the tarmac with Bill Clinton. But the FBI is focusing on some other things in addition to this. We saw this other story about a soldier, apparently 22 years old. His name is Taylor Adam Lee. He's out of Texas. He was arrested on charges of attempted transmission of national defense information over to the Russians. And we haven't seen much information on this yet, but according to court documents, he's an active duty service member stationed in Fort Bliss, holds a top secret security clearance, SCI, sensitive compartmented information, and from May 25 to the present, he sought to establish his U.S. Army credentials and send defense info to the Russians. In June, he transmitted export-controlled technical information on the M1A2 Abrams tank online, offered assistance to the Russian Federation, and in July, they just caught him at an in-person meeting between Lee and who he thought was a representative of the Russians, probably just an FBI agent. Lee allegedly passed an SD card to the individual, and he proceeded to provide a detailed overview of the documents on the tank, combat operations, and more. Several of those those documents did contain data that Lee did not have authorization to hand over. Other documents on the card were marked as controlled, featured banner warnings, dissemination controls. He stated, oh, it's sensitive. He knew it was likely classified, but did it anyways. During and after the meeting, he discussed obtaining and providing a specific piece of hardware inside the tank. Oh, you need one of those? I'll get one of those. On July 31st, Lee delivered what appeared to be the hardware to a storage unit in El Paso. After doing so, he sent a message to the person, the FBI agent, that he thought was a Russian. He said, "Mission accomplished, comrade." Then the FBI said, "Cool, we're on our way." FBI, Washington, and El Paso are investigating the case, and he's now been charged with crimes. And we had another very blurry scan that also came in saying he was arrested for violation of the Espionage Act. He's a U.S. citizen, but he presents a high risk of fleeing, and so we don't want him out of custody. He does have a prior criminal history, and so we cannot release him. So let us keep him here. Sounds like he's a citizen, so yeah, so obviously they want to, keep him here. If he was an illegal, they'd say, oh, no, we have to let him go because of due process or whatever. But he's a citizen, so they just keep him in custody. So FBI focusing on some actual traitors and, treasonous behavior, which is good to see, rather than rounding up the parents at the school board meeting. So FBI firing senior officials, and we're excited to see this. We want to see reform through and through, and this is a good start. And I've had the opportunity to hear from the whistleblowers when I was back in DC, and there were some very concerning statements from them on their beliefs about what the FBI is and how it can be resolved, if at all. And so we're going to work on talking to them about a lot of that, but FBI seemingly making some reforms. We're happy to see it. We're going to keep supporting Cash and Dan as the effort continues.